my exciting privilege to introduce to you the Komet Camera Trigger live on Kickstarter. Let me tell you, it is very, very impressive. It works on all number of camera makes and models, and they're bringing out firmware updates constantly to ensure that the camera that you use can be compatible with the Komet Camera Trigger. So what do we have to do? First of all, you have to plug it in. It applies to your hot shoe mount on top of your camera, slides in there with a button on the back. Once it's in, you plug your USB-C cable into the top on the left-hand side with Lumionix pointing upwards, and you plug the other appropriate end into your camera HDMI USB-C data port on the side of your camera. Then you're ready to go. First of all, you turn on your camera. Camera has to be on first, and then you turn on the unit. There's a little button on the side. You just push that in and it comes to life. And the very first thing you have to do is go to your phone and dial in the Wi-Fi. You do that by simply selecting your Wi-Fi settings. Once you're there, you click on Lumionix and it connects it. You'll need a password to do this for the first time, and the password comes with the unit. Once that's all good to go, you can open up the app. Once you open up the app, you will have this page. If your Wi-Fi is connected, you simply go, "Are you ready?" "I'm ready." And you will see on the top of the Komet, it will say connecting. And once it's connected, there'll be a little green light with your camera brand in the left-hand corner of the LCD. There it is. I'm shooting with a Nikon Z6, and the green light means we're good to go. That means what you see on this app is what you see on the touchscreen is what the camera does. So you have full control over your camera now based on your app or the Komet Camera Trigger. Now, there's a few options on this app as we go through that I'm going to talk to you about today. The first one is the cameras, and this gives you complete and utter control over your camera. First of all, you can change your shutter speed, then you can change your f-stop. Your f-stop will be congruent with whatever your lens is capable of. You can't choose an f-stop of 1.8 if you've got an f4 lens on. ISO is the same. You can change your white balance to be suitable to wherever you are, and you can also change your HDR bracketing and your HDR steps. That can come in really handy when you use the time-lapse function later on and choose to do a HDR time-lapse, which gives you 3 bracketed shots of underexposed, exposed and overexposed, and combines them in a single photo and puts that into a time-lapse for you. Now, if we go down here, you can then grab hold of video and you slide video across, and you can have complete control over your video settings as well. You will need to change your video function on your camera to complement that which is happening with the app. You can then shoot in RAW. This little picture here gives you the option to see what shots you've already taken and your library of images. You can then choose manual mode, or you can choose bulb mode, and bulb gives you these options down here, which you can select as you desire to have creative control over how you shoot and what that shot looks like. So bulb basically means you shoot for as long as you want to hold the exposure open for, and then you unshoot. So we're going to go to manual because that will be helpful in what we're about to do. Now let's go out of camera by hitting the home button, and we're going to go into the time-lapse mode. Now the time-lapse mode I find is fantastic. We'll start on the basics. You have basic and the holy grail, but we're going to stay with basic just for a sec. And for when we're on basic, we can choose our shutter speed of whatever that will be. So you might want to do a night time lapse, since you'll have a much longer shutter speed than if you were doing a time lapse during the day. You can change your f-stop to be whatever is appropriate for the shooting you're doing. You can change your ISO. You can change the interval. You can go from 1 second all the way up to 60 seconds. Yes. Pretty epic, right? Or 59 seconds. And it gives you the options there when you go to this playtime. Now, if we settle on here, this playtime, we can choose the duration. So we might have a 4-hour time lapse, or you might actually want to shoot a 1-hour time lapse, or you might actually want to just shoot a 5-7 minute time lapse. That means it opens and starts shooting, and 7 minutes later it stops shooting. The video length that will give you, if you look down here and go to playtime, is 17 seconds, providing you edit at 24 frames a second. That will give you a total of 420 frames. If you increase the duration, it will increase the number of frames. It will increase the play time that takes. Now let's go to Holy Grail. Let's flip over Holy Grail, and Holy Grail gives us an opportunity to say what we'd like to start the shutter speed at and what we'd like to finish the shutter speed at. So if you're going from daylight to dark or from dark to daylight, you're going to need longer shutter speeds at night and less during the day, and so you can have complete manual control over that. The same with ISO, the same with your second interval timing again, and the playtime gives you the frame rate or the duration of the particular project that you have on the go. If we scoot down here, you can delay the start, so you can say I want it to start in 3 hours time, and it'll be good to go. You can bulb ramp it, you can aperture ramp it, or you can have motion control, and so you can put this on a slider or a mechanical arm, and you can have the control, or you could put it on, say, when you're driving along with the camera attached to the car, and you can have it connected to the distance you do, the motion that the camera takes. So this little trigger gives you far more creativity and versatility than you might otherwise be able to have over your camera just by itself, and you can control it all with the app. And then you can save the preset. Let's say you're doing a project and you're like, gosh, that went really well, I'm going to save that preset, and then later on I'm going to recall that preset to use it again when I'm in a similar scenario to this, so I don't need to remember what those settings are. They're all here for me. Let's jump out of time lapse and go into high speed. Now high speed is about high speed light and high speed sound. So if we let's go light. So light might be like a lightning storm, it might be when there's sparklers at a party, it might be when you're steel wool twisting and you want a bright light to trigger the camera to make it work. And so you might have an 8-second exposure and all that set up for lightning, and you have it's set on light, and you press play, and when a bright light flashes in front of this, it will trigger the photo to be taken on the settings that you have. Likewise, if you go over to sound and you press play and we increase the sensitivity, I should be able to make a loud sound and trigger this. How good is that? Now I can talk like this, but it's tuned into the sensitivity of that. And so you can set the sensitivity to tune out the other noises and highlight. See, the sensitivity is really sensitive, so if I talk too loud, it will do that. But if I decrease the sensitivity, I should be able to talk like this, and it doesn't shoot, but it picks up louder noises. So if you want to decrease the sensitivity to pick up just specific louder noises, then you use a sensitivity rating to do that. Again, you can look at your photos in the gallery button right there, and if I triple dot that, I can change the delay. So I might say I want this to shoot in half an hour when the storm's coming through, because I've got to go out and do something, or leave my camera, and so you can have complete manual control and creative control over this project. Then we go on the home button, we get out of that, and we go to flash. Now flash is really interesting. It comes with one of these. This is a flash mount unit, and it's for TTL flashes. This is not a TTL flash, so I can't show you, unfortunately, but you can plug it in, and so it stays in like this. That is a cold shoe mount that you can attach to any sort of mount, and then you can change groups, you can change channels, and you can change the settings of what your flash does, so that when it gets triggered here, the photo you want to take here, it makes the flash work too. You might want to have a remote trigger for your flash, so your flash is over there when you want to take the shot. You can't get over to it, you can't make it work, but this fills in the gap for you. So very, very exciting. And if we head out of flash and we find that if I want to access my presets, I go right down the bottom to that file, and my presets will be here. So there's a preset I have earlier, I pump that in, and I go back to manual camera, and my preset is set in, which is very exciting. Then if I want other creative options, I go to the settings and spanner, and as you can see, I'll just briefly just guide through these, and you can see what other options you have available for you. The geotagging is where you can connect the movement of this with the photo of where it's taken. So you could stick this on top of your car, you could stick this say on an action camera even, and you can drive along, and depending on where you are, it takes a photo, which is a really creative way of doing things. You've got auto backup and those other necessary things, and the firmware update you can do. So I would encourage you always to firmware update your gear. And finally, just want to say that on top of the camera is an LCD touch screen. So if you need to use your phone for something else, or you don't want to use your phone in this, the whole thing works simply by touchscreen, and you have as much control over this as you do on that. So you have a sense of extended control using this, but you have full control using your app, which I would strongly agree, because the app interface is very easy to use, as you've just seen, and gives a lot of options for you to creatively achieve the things that you'd like to create. You can also take your SD card from your camera, you can plug it in the back, you can plug a hard drive in here, and you can download through this from your SD card onto your hard drive. That's clever, right? And super handy. So if you know, when you're going out, you've got all these card readers and everything else. If you've just got this, you're good to go. It's USB-C on this side. The other thing to say is this needs to be charged 4 hours before you use it. The actual battery then lasts forever. So make sure you charge it before you use it. Otherwise, you'll think it works and it should work and it doesn't. So all you need to do is charge it. There you go, guys, the Komet Camera Trigger. It's on Kickstarter now. I'd encourage you to go and have a look at it, see if you'd like to support their work, get yourself a bargain. I hope this has commended it to you and got you excited about the possibilities with it. And I'll leave you to Kickstarter to explore for yourself to see if this is the trigger for you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.